Welcome, this is Chess on Fire. We are doing the day 21 of our Road to 2500 challenge today. So I'd love to mention, if you like the series, please do leave a like, check out the other games, and of course also consider subscribing. I am really in the pure hope that we can actually build up a nice and friendly society, kind of. So I hope you can become one part of it. Aha, now this is a extremely provocative line of the King's Indian, in which I am going for the slightly weak pawn structure. But I think the move here should be either c5 or knight h5. I think it's knight h5. c5 is a bit early, and generally when he's got the bishop on this diagonal, you don't play c5. Of course, if you like a tutorial on the King's Indian, I would love to give it. I don't really remember the line that clearly, but at least like there's a faint memory. So bishop c4, I think the next move should be this, and then knight c6. Yep. Everything is mainline up to this point. Well, I'm surprised he played short castle. Because now we can potentially go for this in the future. But first, let's play bishop d7, perhaps queen e7 next, and get the matter of castling out of the way. So perhaps queen f6 or queen e7. Let's go for queen e7. There's no real possibility of a breakthrough, because something like this, this is a simple defensive measure. After takes, of course, we take with the bishop. And now, I mean, my pieces are ready to attack. Even though, of course, there is notable counterplay on this side of the board. Though I doubt that queen e2 is actually a good move. Let's first castle. And a common method of defense would be to go here and then here to support the g7 square. But now he played bishop g4 for some mysterious reason. So let's pick up our long-forgotten plan of playing h5 and h4. And after takes, which piece shall we take with? I think this is the much more natural approach, even though after this move, we might need to give up this bishop. Yeah, let's go for this. This is not really damaging our pawn structure, because if he takes like this, he's basically forced to then take on this pawn. And of course, if you try to go for something else, I mean, we could just slide out of the way. Aha, so he did go for something else. Let's first take, and this is further breaking up his pawn structure on the king side. And now we can go here. The idea of which is to either go here or to go here and then there. And of course to avoid that pin or skewer. Well, rook f1 is played, which seems like a strange move. Now let's stack our rooks, support f7, and then prepare to go for this. So he took. Now evidently this is trying to trade some pieces off. So if I take either with this or the pawn, of course we would get our rook traded off. So why don't we go for something creative? And this is actually proving the point of rook h7. And of course, if you take on this pawn further, we have queen c5, and if this is checkmate. So I guess a nice move. So queen e3. Aha, now that's very tricky. Wow. Let's defend it. Yeah, I'm really impressed that my opponent found this move. So let's first give a check, win back the pawn, like this. And we can take. After rook takes, let's see if we can actually sneak this pawn in. Okay, I think that is a good move, and we are successfully up a pawn. Wait, we aren't? How do we lose a pawn? I guess it's like takes over here. I forgot that. Okay, then we're even in material, but I think my pieces are slightly more active, and his king is kind of weak. Even though, of course, we do need to look out for our defenses over here. So if we play something like this to defend the pawn, I guess we will first open a hole, and let's not take. Actually, perhaps this also. I am trying to actually activate my rook, but well, he played this, and this of course allows this move, which seems like a scary situation for our opponent. If a queen trade, then we can take this pawn, which leads to this and then this, which is winning. Oh, he resigned. So let's take a quick look. I think the game was overall pretty decent. We both played pretty well, actually. This is a extremely provocative line, and the entire idea is to just consolidate in the center and then try to, actually create an attack with this plan. This, I guess, works especially well in the lower rating levels because, I mean, lower rated players tend to get scared when your opponent is attacking you fiercely. So in a few moves, I think this is still the line. And yeah, basically, short castle was the move that got me confused slightly. I have never seen this move before, actually, because of how scary it is. Like, this is literally just walking to attack. And actually, in the King's Indian, you don't really need to castle early. Like, generally in my games, I think I castle around move 20 or somewhat, because I'm just creating threats, first getting my pieces ready. Perhaps I don't play like this. Getting my pieces ready, and I can go either side. We went for short castle. We developed our pieces. I guess you missed that there's this resource. And after that, we short castled. In this position, I think Queen B3 was a move I'm considering, because after this, if this looks slightly scary, and I guess something like Bishop F1, and this would be what I would have gone for, which, you know, kind of scary because of how this pawn is kind of difficult to defend. But well, he played Queen E2 and then went for a trade, which I didn't fully understand. The reason I was considering this move is actually since in the future we might play F5 and the Queen F6 potentially. So this is sliding our rook over, while Queen E7 is kind of just wasting a move. Apparently Rook D7 gives 0.0, but personally, I might think this has a clearer plan. But Queen E7 is the more natural way to play this position, and of course in the future this might be supporting some light squares as well. So we played this, and then after trades, we permanently damage the pawn structure, and especially when there is an attack on the h-file. One of the most fatal things to commit to is actually opening up the f2 square, which can create great attacking chances. Not this arrow, opening the f2 square. This is very dangerous, and indeed the move Queen E7 aims to target the square. Rook F1 was played, and we doubled rooks, and apparently Rook H6 would be the better approach here, because after this, a similar idea might be played, and now we can take with the rook. But we played Rook H7. Not enough foresight, but good enough, because, yeah, just in case you're wondering, in this case, this would be very scary for me. So he took, we won back the pawn, and luckily we also picked up this pawn. Otherwise, he would actually be up a pawn, which is an oversight from me. But Queen E2, here played A6, a nice move to actually put in. The reason of which he didn't just go for this free pawn is because this pawn is way more fatal compared to this pawn. First of all, if Queen D2, we can now play Queen B5, and, I don't know, something like that, and, you know, even if I trade, this would be close to a draw, but I guess I should be the side that's easier to play with in this position. Well, A6, useful blitz move, and after he played this, we went Queen B3. I don't really understand why my first instinct is this move, and for some reason this is actually correct. I guess a natural move would be to play this, but this basically leads nowhere, because he can always block. So I guess Queen B3 is just one of those moves that are, you know, kind of waiting. We're still putting some pressure over here, we're still threatening this or this, and then of course this can also prepare for something like this, which is the entire game plan for me. But here he played Queen E3, which immediately turned out to be a mistake, which shows in Queen Rook Endgames how important accuracy is. So after this, he should have just given the pawn, and this position still might be savable because of the potential chaos that two heavy pieces can create. But since he played King E1, this is simply over. Because how are you actually supposed to defend this square? I guess Queen E2 would be the only move here, and the line I mentioned in the end of the game, we give a check, and now if King F2, we can skewer the queen, and now this position will be easily won. Not to say that we can actually pick up this pawn along the way, and 3 pawns rolling down the board with an extra queen. I don't know what I can say if it doesn't win this position. So in the end, luckily we managed to win just in time. Our time is actually going a bit low. I don't know what went wrong with my internet today. I didn't feel I took that much time in the moves, but apparently it was extremely slow. I don't know what happened, but I hope we can have better luck and keep on with our great accuracy in our games, and see you tomorrow on breaking through the 2450 rating line.